child benefit or cut jobs, you should say to the rich and the millionaires that caused the crisis, we're coming after you. They should pay for it, not people that are standing in this square. I thought I would just take the opportunity to highlight to you a dispute that is presently ongoing with colleagues from Culture and Sport Glasgow, or I think it was rebranded Glasgow Windfall yesterday. These colleagues have been out on strike, 4 one-day stoppages, strike at the weekend at Toll Cross, which disrupted the Masters Swimming Championship, and will continue with that dispute selective action. And that's about job cuts, pay freezes, no premium rates, and redesignation of public holidays. So if any of the unions want to support that, get yourself along to the art galleries in the weekend. Thank you.
80% of the public use and want our public services to remain public, so I think we need to keep that message going. We use them, we deliver them, and they're absolutely essential. We need more workers, not less workers in education delivering these vital services for our members and the public. The support for clerical support in the schools, absolutely vital, and they're taking 15% off that, reducing the hours, and quite frankly, that will have an impact on the delivery of education. We are actually being asked to take a pay cut, 3 years, 1.5% spread over 3 years is absolutely a pay cut. Now our members in education, a lot of them don't even earn £10,000 a year, but if they did, it's £150 before they take off your tax, national insurance. It's a disgrace, and I would quite frankly tell them to stick up their backside, because we are not going to accept pay cuts for the vital jobs. Again, our members who are term time, part-time in education are lucky if they'll get a pension of £5,000 a year. I'd hardly call that gold-plated. So, George Osborne, just think on, because we're not going to accept it. Thank you.
Now, I don't know if you saw last night a programme on how to save 100 billion, and they were asking members of the public how they could save this money, what could we do, who could we cut from, who could we save from, where could we put this cut, where could we put that cut. Well, there's a simple way of saving 120 billion every year. You re-employ tax workers, you re-employ civil servants to get back 120 billion every single year that the rich and their friends avoid and evade in illegal and legal tax evasion. That would save us 100 billion every single year. There's simple ways of saving the billions. Perhaps not spend it on Trident. If ever there was a pointless, useless, disgusting waste of money of tens of billions, it's Trident. What about putting that money into building houses, into building schools and hospitals? We'd get rid of the budget deficit in one go, and we'd have more money, and then perhaps we could get the gold-plated pensions that we're supposed to get.
There are cuts all over the public sector, we know that. And I'm not saying that education should have any more rights than any other public service. Each one is vital. But speaking as somebody involved in education, can I say there is one cut we should have, and that's a cut in class sizes. Not a cut in the numbers of people providing the education service. Children are the future of this country, and it is stupid folly to ignore that and to waste the opportunities that are there. If we don't care for our children, then we don't care for the country. And I despair of the government and to a large extent of this council, because they don't seem to understand where their own interests lie, far less the interests of the rest of us.
It was Sir Fred Goodwin and his cronies, remember him? It was through their greed and their recklessness, it wasn't public sector workers that succeeded in bringing almost to bankruptcy the third biggest bank in the world. And we have to say, it was the collapse of Lehman Brothers 2 years ago that led to a total standstill in the global economy. And I think also we have to say it's been the collapse of the global financial system that has led, not anything that public sector workers have done, that have led to them having to pump $14 trillion. Remember that figure, $14 trillion. That's a quarter of the total world's GDP into shoring up the banking system. So let's not be conned into thinking that somehow this is a crisis in the public sector. And the prediction is by the end of this year, 3.3 million people will be unemployed, the highest for 20 years. It's not because lots of folk suddenly want to be in job seekers allowance of £65 a week. That actually it's not the benefit system that's out of control, it's their economic system that is out of control, and we're expected to pay for that. Every year, the Sunday Times publishes a rich list of the 1,000 richest people in Britain. And you'll be pleased to know that this year, despite all the hardships, the rich in Britain, the increase in their wealth has gone up by a third over the past 1 year. It is the biggest rise in the Sunday Times rich list since it began more than 20 years ago. And their combined wealth is now £330 billion. The current debt in Britain, the current public sector deficit is £160 billion, almost exactly half of that. So what I'm proposing is that a single 50% windfall tax on the richest 1,000 in Britain could mean we could completely clear the debt without having to make a single cut, without having to close a single nursery, and without having to lose a single job. That should go out very, very clearly from this meeting today is that public sector workers did not create this crisis, unemployed people did not create this crisis, people with an incapacity benefit did not create this crisis, and I think we should follow the lead of the trade unionists in Greece and elsewhere saying, you lot created this crisis and we're not going to pay for it.
Our cuts in the NHS are covertly done. They're done under reorganisational change. We're told there's going to be no packages for staff. It has already begun. My boss is retiring in October, and we've already been told that her job will not be advertised. And this is the way they do it in the NHS. It's through the back door. We really need to get the users of our services on board, because people, I don't think, realise the impact it will have on their lives. Personally, last year we unfortunately had to use the services in a meeting, and my husband was told he would need radio and chemotherapy, but unfortunately there was a 6-week waiting list. My big fear is that this 6 weeks becomes 12 weeks and people actually die through these cuts. But we need to get the members of the public on our side. We need to campaign, organise and be out in our streets and let them know exactly what these cuts mean to each and every one of us in this country.
We've already had the community work service in Glasgow half, not without pain to the people who have devoted years in delivering that service throughout Glasgow. We've had the Welfare Rights Service attacked. We have a situation in which home carers in Glasgow will be asked to do an hour's work in 20 minutes with the consequences of that. We've got to have a campaign of resistance to what this Labour administration has, or for that matter what the Tories insist that they carry out in the years to come, or for that matter what Alex Salmond and his crew in Holyrood have in store for us as well. But not only have we got to build a campaign of resistance, we've also got to build a campaign of explanation about what these cuts are doing, why they're there, because of the bankers and the mess they have made of the society in which we live. What we need to do is own them and use the money that they make to institute better public services, improve public services and give better conditions to the people delivering them.
We do need to join together. Trade unions, public sector workers, voluntary workers, the working people in Glasgow in general, and the people who use services to defend the services. We need to link that to the fight to defend people's pensions, child benefit, tax credits, or whatever cuts to disability benefits that they're going to make to the most vulnerable people in the next hour or so. What we need is that we need to make this demonstration, which has been a good demonstration and a good contributions from a number of trade unions. We need to build from here. People need to leave here and convince other people to get involved. Get organised, let's work together and let's fight them.